let's make some sauerkraut. I have my cabbage, I have my mason top weight, I've got my mason top lid, which is like a little airlock. I have a regular ring to go on top of that. I've got kosher salt right here. I've got some caraway seed because I like mine with caraway seed. I am loosely following the recipe that came with the mason tops kit. The only difference is I've made this before. This calls for about a 2-pound cabbage, and this was closer to 3 pounds. So I did adapt it to a recipe I've used before very successfully. I think it's going to go in the half-gallon. If it doesn't look like it's filling the half-gallon, though, I will switch to the quart. So I've got my bowl ready, and I've got my cabbage rinsed. And I am going to save one leaf to go in after, basically. Hopefully this one is not moldy like the last one, because that was a bit disappointing for everybody concerned, I think. So basically I'm just going to cut this in 4. And this is just such an easy thing to do. It takes time to ferment, but honestly, on the front end, super quick and easy. I don't like the look of this outside leaf here. We'll set that aside. That'll go to the chickens, and we'll make eggs out of that too. Look, this one's got bad spots inside. It's not mold. It's just a questionable spot. I'm going to cut that out. The other one had mold. This one doesn't have mold. Okay, we're good. So you just want to cut this as thin as you can. I have done it in the food processor, but I feel like the pieces are just too small then. A tablespoon and a half of salt. Just going to sprinkle that in there, and we're going to massage this for a long time. And that's all you want to do, is you want to just keep rubbing it in there, mixing it up, rubbing it in. The salt will pull the moisture from the cabbage and that'll make the brining liquid. Okay, I've been working this for probably about 10 minutes, and you can see it's a lot less. It's probably half it was when it started. And I did pull out the pickle packer, and I have beaten it down a couple times. I've done this without doing it before. Yeah, I mean, I haven't always had the pickle packer, but you can just use that too to macerate it and then fluff it up again. But you can see it's about half the volume it was a little bit ago, and it's got all this beautiful juice in the bottom that I hope you can see. So I'm ready to start packing it into the jar. And I'm going to, like I said, I think I'm going to have to use the bigger one. I think I'm going to get a funnel. So you want to put a couple of handfuls in. And then pack it down. And you could do this with your hand. I have before. I don't know if you can see. basically, as you pack it down, the liquid is going to come up. So you can use the packer, you can use your hand. See all that liquid? We want that. We want all of that. That's what's going to make it ferment. A little bit of salt. If you add too much, it won't ferment. If you don't add enough, it'll mold. It's really not hard, though. I mean, seriously. I've done this so many times. This was one of the first ferments I did. Pack it down, and you can see that liquid coming up. It's pretty well packed. I'd like to see a little more liquid in there, but the liquid will come up more as it sits. That salt will do its work. Oh, I forgot the caraway seeds. Poop. Poop. Poopity poop. Yes, I know. So Salty and I really like caraway seeds in here, so we're going to do this over. I'm not going to rinse this. It's not going to hurt anything. We want about a teaspoon, maybe a little more than that. I hate when I forget things. And you want to put it in, this is a good time to put it in, is just before you pack So, anyway. That just adds that little bit of flavor that we like. So, you don't have to put them in. It doesn't affect anything except flavor. So, if you like them, put them in. If you don't, don't. All right, let's try this again. Get that all packed down again so the water comes up. See, there's more water already. That salt will just keep pulling that water out. That bit of foam will go away. Or we might wind up with more. Who knows? Okay, so it's just below the 4-cup mark, which would be the quart, but I need room in there for the pickle weight, and so it doesn't bubble over as it ferments. So I'm going to stick with this bowl, this jar. And then we want to cut a piece of clean leaf to fit in there. So we want it about the same size as the jar because we want it to fit pretty well. So that's going to go in. And that's going to hold all that cabbage down below the brine level. See how it comes up and over? Okay, I'm going to flip that over. There we go. Just going to keep pushing that down. Put my pickle weight on. I'm going to wipe that a little bit. Clean my jar up a little bit because I'm worried that all these chunks of cabbage up here are going to cause bad things to happen. All right. Put my airlock on. Put my ring on. And that releases the gases, but doesn't let anything in. I am going to check back on this a couple times and push that down. I want this liquid to be up over that pickle weight. I'm going to set it on the side of my counter there, and that is it for making sauerkraut. Thanks for joining. If you like this, as always, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave me a comment. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Before we move on with the corned beef, I'm going to talk about the sauerkraut that I started yesterday. I do have a video with that, and you probably have just watched that, and this is the update. When I checked on it today, I did not have enough liquid in here to cover my my pebble, my weight. So I did mix up some distilled water with some salt to top it off. I did follow the directions in the book that the Mason Tops book. It said a half a teaspoon of salt to a half a cup of water. I put that in and it still didn't quite cover, so I did do it again. So I did add a teaspoon of salt dissolved in a cup of water, and it is more than covering it now, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's get that out of the way. I am going to leave it on my counter. I know it should be someplace dark, but if I put it someplace dark, I'll forget about it. So to finish up today, I have the corned beef that I started last week. I have my jars ready. I'm going to raw pack this. I'm going to do it in pints, and I have 4 pints ready. I'm not sure if it'll fill 4 pints, but I have a half pint ready just in case. And then, because that's iffy as to whether the canner would actually be considered full or not, I am going to do a quart jar of chicken legs. These are bone-in legs, and they can for the same time as my pints of raw pack meat. So everything's going to be raw pack. We're going to do that. My canner is on the stove. It's ready to go. And everything's cold. Cold food, cold jars, cold canner, all of it. So I'm just going to rough cut these. Pack them in there as tight as I can. Hopefully you can see. Yes. There's not really any method to how I cut these up. I just want them to pack in fairly tight. They don't need any liquid added. They will make their own. And I need an inch of headspace. So that should be about right. A little little bit of gristle in there. I'm not really that worried about it though, because once it goes through 75 minutes in the canner, all of it will be fairly tender. A little more fat than I want to put in there. And yes, I know fat is flavor, but I really don't need that much fat in there. Too much fat can also cause siphoning, can cause me not to have seals. I don't need that in my life. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Oh, I'm definitely gonna, I think I'm gonna get 4. That's awesome. This last piece is a little smaller, but I think it's gonna be just perfect. I think 4 pints is considered a full canner. You can run it with 4. But to me, that's just such a waste of the hot water and the time and it's beautiful. That's going to be perfect. That one's a little low, but I think it'll be okay. If it's not, we'll have corned beef sandwiches the next day or 2. Hi there, Claudia here from the Wee Garden Homestead. I am finishing up my Every Bit Counts challenge from August. Today is September 2nd. I just didn't get to it at the beginning of the week. I'm a slacker, but it's still things that need to be finished. Yesterday I did the sauerkraut that I tried to do last week. The cabbage was bad last week, and I fed it to the chickens, and I had somebody comment that they were disappointed. So I did go ahead and get another head of cabbage, and I did start the sauerkraut yesterday, and I'll do an update on that. And then I also, today I've got to can the corned beef that I started last week in last week's challenge. So really, I'm on the same week. It should have been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but it's Thursday, Friday this week. So I'm going to finish it up, and I'm going to bring you along. Thanks for joining. All right, so this actually kind of coincides with my September challenge also, because that was to clean out the freezer, and I had these just lounging in the freezer. You probably saw them in my video that I posted yesterday, saying what my September challenge was going to be, was to clean out the freezer. And I did a couple of a little bit of research and watched a bunch of videos online of people canning just straight in. No nonsense, no messing around. And most of them got 5 in comfortably. They don't can as long as look at that. They don't can as long as a quart of boneless chicken would. Boneless meat cans longer. These can at 75 minutes in the pint with the bone in. I think the bone probably transmits the heat better. Maybe it's a better heat conductor than just regular boneless chicken. So the pints of this can for 75 minutes and the quart of this can's for 75 minutes. So I'm doing them together. Got to clean those rims with a little bit of vinegar. Get them in the canner, lid them, and get them in the canner. It's got a little bit of white vinegar on here just to make sure I cut through the grease. Got my washed lids. This is an experiment for me. I'm kind of excited. I always like it when I get to try something new. Lids go on finger tight. Everything's cold. They're going straight in the canner. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 pints of corned beef and 1 quart of chicken legs. See how it goes. I'm going to put the lid on and I'll show you what I got when I'm done. Alrighty, finishing up this Every Bit Counts challenge and starting out my clean out the freezer challenge. So the chicken legs look really good. I've never done them before. We'll see how they are. I have 4 pints of the corned beef. I'm totally thrilled with all of this. Those pints are nice and full. Last time I had some siphoning, and they weren't as full as I would have liked them, but these look amazing. Still bubbling. That's a good sign that they're probably going to seal, is when they're still bubbling when they come out of the canner. That is, they're still boiling in those jars. So, these 4 pints of corned beef, in addition to the 4 pints that I have already on the shelf from the beginning of the challenge, that'll get us through 8 meals. We'll shred those and make them into sandwiches or cook them with some cabbage or whatever, but that is easily 4 meals here and 4 meals on the shelf for us. So that's it for me for the Every Bit Counts challenge. Thanks for joining, and I will see you soon.